How many of you guys remember back in 2016 when we were reviewing the WWE draft, in which Raw and SmackDown once again became separate rosters? How many of you guys remember my initial review of this draft and the brand split, where I stated that WWE should do one or both of the following: have the tag team division on one show and the women's division on the other. That was one of the ideas that I had brought forth back in 2016. To dive a little bit deeper into that, I actually said, why don't we put the women on Monday Night Raw, being that it's a 3-hour show. We're in the middle of the evolution, and Monday Night Raw is the more popular of the shows. It's the A show. It's their flagship show, and the women are a high priority now in WWE, agenda or not. So put them on Monday Night Raw. 3 hours, you got an entire division in which you can just book and have fun with. Move the tag teams over to SmackDown Live. Now, the tag team landscape in WWE, honestly, would be okay on a 2-hour SmackDown Live. I mean, look at it now. There's no tag teams on Monday Night Raw. Some people don't even realize that Bobby Roode and Chad Gable are the Raw Tag Team Champions. The Revival's buried. Outside of those two teams right now, there's nobody. AOPP is somewhere flushed down the toilet. Gone. So I think that they would thrive on a 2-hour show. You put them and mix them up with the SmackDown Live tag teams, and boom, you got a nice competitive division. It would also give each show an identity. Now, you could look at Raw and SmackDown Live and look and see that they do have an identity, slightly, even in 2019. Raw sucks. SmackDown is hit or miss. SmackDown's got the better roster. Raw's roster is completely garbage. But it would give the shows an overall identity. If you're a fan of tag team wrestling, you go and watch SmackDown Live. You want to see the Usos, you want to see the New Day, you want to see the Bar, you want to see the Revival. You want to see these teams on SmackDown Live, you got to tune in on Tuesday night. And the division as a whole would be so much better. You would have to tune into Monday Night Raw to watch Sasha Banks and Asuka and Becky and Charlotte and everybody else, Ember Moon, Ruby Riott, etc., Ronda, and everybody else that comes up in the division. It would make the division competitive. Matches would mean more. You would be really giving the fans fresh matchups, new faces, a true identity. The women's division would take on a whole new meaning if the entire roster was completely joined together as one. That was one of my ideas. The other idea would be for Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live to have separate champions. Universal Champion on Raw, SmackDown would get the WWE Championship. Same thing with Raw and the IC title, and SmackDown with the United States Championship. There's no need for 2 tag team championships. There's no need for 2 women's championships. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You get the same matches every fucking week. How many times have we sat through 6-woman tags? How many times have I mentioned that giving the belt to Ronda Rousey, yes, it's a great business move, but how many times have I said giving her the women's championship is handcuffing the entire division? Those women have nothing to fight for unless you're in a program with Ronda Rousey, and if you're in a program with Ronda Rousey before WrestleMania, more than likely, you are nothing but fucking a waste. You're being fed to the machine. You're not winning the title. If your name is not Becky Lynch or Charlotte Flair, you have absolutely nothing to do with a women's championship on Monday Night Raw. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It would make the division better overall. You could have both divisions floating between Raw and SmackDown. You could see tag team matches on Monday Night Raw, tag team matches on SmackDown Live, women's matches on Monday Night Raw, women's matches on SmackDown Live. That was my other idea. Instead of giving each division its own brand, they would both be represented by Raw and SmackDown. Those were my ideas. How many of you remember when I said everything I just mentioned here? I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to hear anything come WrestleMania when one of those things becomes a reality. I'm telling you right now, the landscape of WWE with the introduction of women's tag team championships is going to change. There is no way that you're going to put a set of titles for a tag team on one brand and not do it for the other. There's no way you're going to institute these titles and give us 4 titles, one set on each brand. It's not going to happen. That is absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous. What is the one thing that needs to happen, not only with the tag team championships coming in 2019, but now a lot of people are wondering if Becky Lynch is even going to win the Royal Rumble. Is she going to be in the Royal Rumble? Everybody fantasy booked Becky Lynch to win the Royal Rumble, eliminating Nia Jax. It's a great story, revenge. Nia Jax gets what's coming to her. How many people have booked Becky Lynch to win the Royal Rumble with Charlotte Flair, reliving the 1994 Royal Rumble with Lex Luger and Bret the Hitman Hart? How many? Everybody. Every podcast you could listen to has said the same fucking thing. But what if Becky wins the SmackDown Live Women's Championship? What if she wins at the Royal Rumble and beats Asuka? What then? Is Becky going to be in the Royal Rumble and win the Royal Rumble too? No. Becky's going to win the Women's Championship, and Charlotte would then get the Royal Rumble. But how do we get Becky in the main event of WrestleMania? Because we all know that if WWE leaves Becky Lynch out, there's going to be a lynch mob after Vince McMahon and WWE, and I guarantee you that there'll be torches and pitchforks waiting outside of the WWE headquarters on April 9th or 8th, the following Monday after WrestleMania. It's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. Now, there's a reason why WWE booked Becky Lynch against Asuka at the Royal Rumble. When they announced it on a main event taping on Hulu, and then they retracted it, they had Paige go on social media and say, well, I tried to make one last match while I was GM, but it did not go through. Sorry, guys, I tried. And then WWE all of a sudden made the match again official for the Royal Rumble. There has to be a reason for that. You don't announce something, take it away, and then just announce it again if there's not an agenda. Now, I'm telling you right now that if Becky Lynch wins the Women's Championship and Charlotte wins the Royal Rumble, by some way, Becky Lynch is going to get into the main event of WrestleMania. And if that is the case, you'll have the SmackDown Live Women's Champion and Ronda Rousey, the Raw Women's Champion, in the same match. And there's Charlotte Flair. What did I say back in 2016? The divisions should be as one. How do you make a monumental first-time ever main event with Becky, Charlotte, and Ronda Rousey even more important? Unification. I said it back in 2016, and I stand here today on Off the Script, episode 256, for your Sunday, part 3, that it might have taken WWE all these years to finally warm up to the idea. Now, the circumstance of the Women's Tag Team Championships are coming into play. What are they going to do? Plus, you factor in Ronda Rousey being wanted by Fox come October, and all the rumors are running wild about Fox not wanting to cross-promote with NBC Universal. So how do you make everybody happy? How do you kind of take this little gray area and work around it to make everybody happy? Ronda could work both Raw and SmackDown. And how could she do that? When the division is as one. People, I sit here every single week and, yeah, I come off as a hard-assed fucking prick. You know, oh, JD's from New York. He's a loudmouth New Yorker. Right? But that doesn't mean that all the yelling and all the complaining and all the negativity means that I'm a fucking sour prick. All the ideas I bring forth shows you how much I care about the product. Because if I didn't care, I wouldn't say, I wouldn't devise, I wouldn't create, I wouldn't fantasy. I care about everything that happens with the WWE, and I only want to see them get better. And if some of my ideas resonate with anybody in the WWE, whether they listen or not, and I know they're fucking listening, I know they are. I know they are. No matter how many times they say they don't, they do. And I said this back in 2016, and by 2019, here we are going into WrestleMania, and one of those ideas eventually is going to come into play. And I'm not going to take credit for it. I'm not going to take credit for it. You guys know when it was said, where it was said, and who said it. I'm not going to take credit for it. Not going to take credit for it. All I want you to know is that it's going to make the WWE a much better place for the women. The women are both on Raw and SmackDown. If there's one title for the women to fight over, and if you're going to include women's tag team championships, it's not going to work with two separate brands and two separate rosters. The only way it's going to work is if it's one division spread between Raw and SmackDown. The Ronda Rousey being on SmackDown Live, wanted by Fox, makes all the difference in the world for this to become a reality. I said it back in 2016. It's going to happen. What does Becky Lynch do at the Royal Rumble? Well, according to sources, Becky Lynch is not even a big draw for the WWE. And this really fucking angers me because nobody's a draw in WWE. I don't even know why this is being discussed. Why this is being discussed, I don't know. Ronda Rousey's not even a fucking draw. She's on Monday Night Raw, and the ratings are the worst they've ever been. So if people are nailing Becky Lynch for not being a draw, all because she's fucking popular, cut the shit. This has, oh look, she's popular now, let's rain on her parade written all over it. It's disgusting. When someone gets popular, the more hate that they have directed at them. And it's disgusting. It's disgusting. It happens everywhere. You become a big-time movie actor, all this hate. Oh, she don't deserve it. Oh, he don't deserve it. Happens in wrestling, right? All of a sudden, Becky Lynch, underneath the radar, right? Off the map. Non-existent in WWE. All we ever wanted was Becky Lynch to be on television, and this was said and felt universally throughout the wrestling world. Where's Becky Lynch? Why isn't Becky Lynch getting what she deserves? Why is she not getting any TV time? Why is she in Titus Catering? Right? There's Becky Lynch in catering. Titus is serving her his own version of fish and chips with a nice cold Guinness. Everybody wanted Becky Lynch on TV. And now when Becky Lynch single-handedly just took it by the balls, took the division by the balls, has really made it her own, has really taken the driver's seat and the steering wheel, and is driving the women's evolution to where it needs to be, everybody wants to say, oh, Becky Lynch is overrated. Oh, Becky Lynch doesn't deserve it. Fuck the women. The women don't belong in the main event. Really now? Really now? How many times have I sat here and told you that if you're the very best at what you do, A, you should be a champion, B, you should be main eventing? Becky Lynch and Charlotte have been out-schooling the men for the last 4 months. Becky Lynch and Asuka are going to tear the house down at the Royal Rumble. So is Sasha and Ronda Rousey, which I'm very excited for because I love Sasha Banks. And I think Sasha Banks is going to teach Ronda Rousey a thing or two. Plus, there's the potential there to plant seeds for the potential horsewomen match that I'm predicting will happen at the Survivor Series in 2019. They've been outclassing and outschooling the men. So much so that WrestleMania is coming around and I have absolutely no problem, especially if it's what I think it's going to be, especially if it's what I've called for the last 2 years, come WrestleMania 2.5 years, of a unification where Raw and SmackDown women's divisions are as one. That deserves a main event. You look at the landscape of WWE and the caliber of matches that we've seen in the fourth quarter of this company. Charlotte and Becky Lynch are completely ahead of everybody, and it's not even close. It's not even close. Now, as far as Becky Lynch not being a draw, there's nobody in WWE that's a draw. Nobody. All the way from the bottom, all the way to the top. You can't sit here and say Becky Lynch is not a top draw in WWE because nobody's a top draw in WWE. Brock Lesnar is not even a top draw in WWE anymore. All this fabricated garbage about Brock Lesnar. Oh, he's racking up the pay-per-view buys. Where? It's not reported anywhere that Brock Lesnar's bringing in more money for the WWE. In fact, Brock Lesnar's a waste of money for the WWE. Guy comes in, does what he wants for 20 dates, and gets paid $6-7 million a year. That's a waste of money. Especially with what we've seen on Monday Night Raw. Waste of money. Ronda Rousey's not a draw. Seth Rollins is not a draw. Your precious Roman Reigns wasn't even a draw. In fact, he was driving people away. Bringing back John Cena is not a draw. Braun Strowman is never going to be a draw. Dean Ambrose is not a draw. No one in NXT is a draw. I said it. No one in NXT is going to move the ratings needle for WWE. You want the fucking truth? There you go. That doesn't mean I don't love my Velveteen Dreams and my Johnny Garganos and my Tommaso Ciampas and my Aleister Blacks and my Ricochets and my Adam Coles. Doesn't mean I don't love those guys. Nobody's going to move the needle. Nobody's going to move the needle. The only thing that's going to move the needle is WWE giving me consistent fucking television that lives up to the lofty expectations of the modern day wrestling fan. They'll come and they'll come and or they might not come. They might be interested and they might not be interested. There's so much out there for people to just dive into. Not everybody's going to watch WWE. They'll watch WWE when they're good and ready. But right now, nobody's watching WWE. They're excited for AEW. They got Ring of Honor. They got Impact. They got Lucha Underground. They got New Japan. Progress. ICW. MLW. CZW. There's just so much to ingest as far as wrestling goes. And this is the current landscape of WWE. But there's not one person in the company that's going to move the needle. So it's very unfair for WWE to worry that Becky Lynch is not a top draw in WWE. Because nobody is. Your precious Ronda, your precious commodity in Charlotte is not even a top draw. Charlotte's on the same fucking brand as Becky Lynch. If people aren't watching for Becky, they certainly aren't watching for fucking Charlotte Flair. Now, we all know Becky Lynch just lost the SmackDown Live Women's Championship at TLC. She could reclaim the title on January 27th at the Royal Rumble in Phoenix. But WWE might be cautious about trusting her to bring in a ton of numbers and new fans. Now, in spite of the fact that Becky seems to be very popular, and you can see that she's more popular than any of the other women, just based on her social media interactions. You go to Becky's Twitter and you see the reactions from people on social media. Like, you'll see Charlotte tweet out something and get 4,000 or 5,000 likes. Becky will tweet out something, it's got like 25,000 likes. Everybody is loving what Becky Lynch is doing on social media. She is the most popular female right now in all of WWE. But apparently WWE looks at her merchandise sales and thinks differently. It's not translating to money made via merchandise. It was noted in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that SmackDown Live pulled in 2 million, a little more than 2 million viewers. It was 2,032,000 viewers, which is only a 2.8% drop from the previous week. However, in a time when things are supposed to be bouncing back when it comes to ratings, SmackDown's number needed to rise. And they thought that was going to happen on the first live episode for the new year on SmackDown Live. The main event was Becky Lynch, Charlotte, and Carmella, and that did not sustain an audience as WWE had hoped. It was said that although certain fans seemed to be passionate about Becky Lynch, it might not be enough. Now, Dave Meltzer said, and I quote, "Given the attendance and the rating, Lynch is in the category of someone who people cheer heavy for that are already there, but she's not moving numbers," end quote. Becky Lynch is very driven to remain on top of WWE's women's roster. However, you never know if WWE might see a trend in ratings that they don't like this could be why she is now reportedly sharing the main event WrestleMania with Charlotte Flair. This has absolutely nothing to do with the main event of WrestleMania. And it never had anything to do with the main event of WrestleMania. Becky's numbers, the way she pulls in ratings and merchandise, has nothing to do with her stance at WrestleMania. Charlotte was always going to be there. Always. Coming out of WrestleMania 34, where Ronda teamed with Kurt Angle against Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. As soon as that event was over, they had it in their minds. Ronda looked great. We're going to do Ronda and Charlotte at WrestleMania 35. Everybody was talking about it then. Everybody was talking about it as soon as Ronda's first match was over. Charlotte was always going to be there. No matter if Becky got hot or not. Becky got hot. Now, Becky added herself to the main event of WrestleMania, but she didn't change anything that was originally planned to happen. Charlotte was never going to be subtracted from this equation, and Becky was going to be her replacement. That was never the case. So, all the bullshit that you're hearing about, oh, Becky's not a top draw, Becky's not moving numbers, she's not a ratings mover, she's not selling merchandise, who fucking cares? Who fucking cares? Is Charlotte moving merchandise? I doubt it. I doubt it. And if I was a betting man, I'd say Becky is moving more merchandise than Charlotte. And on top of that, what does Becky's t-shirt resemble? It's nothing but words. I could come up with a fucking t-shirt. My t-shirts are better looking than the one she's got right now. I am the man. That is what you're going with Becky Lynch. Then you want to complain why Becky Lynch isn't moving merchandise. What other merchandise does she have on WWE Shot? What? Is anybody going to go out there and willingly spend $25 plus shipping on a t-shirt that says, I am the man? A 3-year-old could come up with that fucking t-shirt design. And people want to report, oh, Becky Lynch is not moving merchandise. I wonder why. Fucking idiot who works with Microsoft Paint can do a better job. My best friend's fucking 4-year-old son can come up with a better idea. I am the man. Charlotte ain't moving merchandise. None of the women are moving merchandise unless you're Sasha Banks. I don't understand this shit. This is ridiculous. Becky's not moving numbers. Who is? Who is? How could anyone move numbers? They get hot and then WWE kills them. Becky Lynch is a top draw for WWE in other ways. In other ways. Nobody's going to move the needle as far as ratings go. I don't give a fuck who's moving the needle. Ratings-wise. The only one that's going to move the needle if they come back to the WWE is CM fucking Punk. That is it. There's literally no one. WWE had the chance to sign the Elite. They could have been a ratings draw. They could have moved the needle. Everybody would have watched Monday Night Raw to see when and what those guys were going to do and when they were going to do it. CM Punk is the only one that's going to move any type of needle in WWE. Ronda's not moving the needle. Fucking Brock Lesnar's not moving the needle. Nobody's moving the needle. And no one in NXT is going to move the needle. None of these guys that they're bringing in from the indies is going to move the needle. At all. So end the conversation. Becky is someone who we need to respect. And I'm not sitting here and I'm not being a Becky mark. I'm talking to you guys as real as I can with this entire situation. We all wanted Becky Lynch to come out of obscurity on SmackDown Live. And here she is. And now people have a problem with it? Why? Because Alexa Bliss has to take a back seat? Because Sasha Banks has been buried in all of 2018? Because Becky's stealing some of Charlotte's thunder? I don't understand people's logic. You're tired of seeing Becky on TV? She's undeserving? But 2 years ago, when she was sitting in fucking catering, going weeks and weeks and weeks without getting any top priority on SmackDown Live, not even a fucking match on SmackDown Live, she'd be lucky to work main event. You have no problem with her then. No one is going to move the needle for WWE. No one. Now, as far as the Royal Rumble goes, there is a report in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that WWE reportedly wants to keep Becky Lynch out of the Royal Rumble to surprise everyone that she's going to be in it later on in the night and eventually win it. Now, I don't think this is going to happen. I really don't. Do you want to know why? Because everybody and their fucking mother and their sister and their father have booked the Royal Rumble every which way, and WWE is going to do everything in their power to go against what the internet and social media have already talked about. This is typical WWE 101. Everything that you think is going to happen, it never fucking happens. And all you have to do is look back at WrestleMania. Everyone in their fucking mother thought Roman Reigns was going to win the WWE Universal Championship, going to win that main event at WrestleMania, including me. What did WWE do? Brock Lesnar beat Roman Reigns and walked out of WrestleMania with the Universal Championship. Literally, no one's seen that coming. And if you say you did, you're a bold-faced liar. I do not believe you at all. I don't believe you for a split second. Everything that we've said is not going to happen. This is why I firmly believe that WWE will probably fuck over Asuka, give Becky the title back, and somehow we get Becky in the WrestleMania main event with Charlotte winning the Royal Rumble, and we get the SmackDown Live Women's Championship and the Raw Women's Championship as one in a unification match. WWE is not going to do what we want. As far as WWE, in their eyes, they're thinking, well, you're lucky we're even considering Becky Lynch. This is not what we planned. This was not in the itinerary for our road to WrestleMania. Charlotte was there, but we're going to make you fucking sweat a little bit. Becky's going to be there, but you won't know until the last fucking second. Becky Lynch already has her bags packed, but you don't know if she's going to show up on time for that flight to New York City. Typical WWE. Now, Dave Meltzer reported in the newsletter that WWE is going with Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte versus Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. This means that they need to book accordingly to make this match happen. How they get there, I don't know. At this point, I'm just enjoying the ride. Now, I do wonder that if Becky does not win the Royal Rumble and they do give it to Charlotte, what type of backlash it's going to be. That actually might make Becky even more popular. And if Charlotte wins the Royal Rumble and Becky doesn't, even though she might win the championship earlier in the night, I don't think Charlotte's going to get a good reaction in Phoenix by winning the Royal Rumble. I really don't. Now, it's said that there is talk of Becky Lynch losing to Asuka only to have her compete in the Royal Rumble match as a surprise entrant at this point. Lynch could win the match and claim a WrestleMania contest with Rousey. After that, Charlotte could be written into the match via winning her spot at either the Elimination Chamber or Fastlane. There are a couple ways WWE could go about their desired WrestleMania match, but they are kicking around the idea that it could include a Royal Rumble match win for Becky Lynch. Now, it's also noted that Charlotte could also win the Royal Rumble match herself and then win a match at the Elimination Chamber, which could set up an encounter at WrestleMania that WWE is looking for. Another option WWE has is booking Becky Lynch to defeat Asuka at the Royal Rumble for the SmackDown Live Women's title and then go to WrestleMania and face both Rousey and Flair. However, this booking decision could mean that only one women's title will be defended at MetLife Stadium. That's where the unification comes into play. It will unify both titles. And Becky Lynch will beat Ronda Rousey, and Ronda Rousey's Raw Women's Championship will be on the line. Becky will hold both titles, she'll unify them, and the divisions, the Raw after Mania, will be as one. I don't know what's going to happen. I told you time and time again, WWE, they expect you to sit there and wonder what's going to happen. They want you to fucking feel dread. They want you to feel fucking confusion. They want you to feel misery. They don't want you to feel happy. According to WWE, and this is how I truly feel about the company, they want you to be happy when they want you to be happy. And if Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch is planned for WrestleMania, that's not what WWE wants. WWE's not going to have Becky Lynch in the main event announced for WrestleMania before Charlotte Flair. They're not going to do that. Charlotte's going to be the one in the headlines first. Oh, it's Charlotte versus Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania. Becky, because WWE wants us to sweat a little bit, is going to find her way in. And WWE's going to put that sense of, holy shit, it's not happening in your mind. Becky might end up beating Asuka and then find herself in the main event anyway. And like I said, she'll have her bags packed, but she's really, really, really risking not making that flight to New York City. The better question is, what happens to Asuka? Seems like Asuka, if any of these situations happen, gets fucked. I don't think anybody wants that either. If Becky beats Asuka, and there is a unification match at WrestleMania, Asuka's fucked. What does Asuka do at WrestleMania? Why does Asuka deserve a title reign that only lasts a month? So the Asuka's being treated unfairly train is going to steamroll itself on SmackDown Live. And then we got to hear about that from the disgruntled fans on social media. There's no which way about this that ends up good for Asuka. That's another talking point, which I don't even want to dive into right now because I don't know what the fuck's going on. I'm just laying it out there for you guys that Becky Lynch, according to WWE numbers, is not a top draw, but who the fuck is? Ignore that garbage. No one in WWE on Raw or SmackDown. AJ Styles, I didn't mention. He's not even a top draw. No matter how great he is, Daniel Bryan's not a top draw. Nobody in NXT is a top draw. I don't give a fuck. There's no one that will ever recreate what Stone Cold, The Rock, Hulk Hogan, even John Cena to an extent did. They don't have that guy, that individual on this roster right now. They don't. And WWE, with all that, not a good draw, not a top draw, a ratings mover, throw it out the window. It's garbage. None of that is important. And everything that I laid out for you as far as Becky Lynch goes for the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, I want you to keep stored here. As we go through the Royal Rumble, we see what happens. We'll have a better idea of what happens at the Rumble, on the Raw after the Royal Rumble, which I'm assuming will really, really set the tone for WrestleMania. And as we get closer to WrestleMania, we'll find out what the fuck is really going to happen. But WWE is smart in letting you sweat. Because if WWE gives away everything already, you know, it's like, well, it's here. It's here. They want you to keep coming back and watching. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? If the match is already made, then they got the unfortunate circumstance of booking a storyline between two women who are not on the same brand. You know? And they know everybody wants Becky, but they're going to make you sweat a little bit, and they're going to keep you guessing on how Becky's going to eventually get in there. It's a very interesting situation, and I want you guys to be aware of that. And plus, I'm going to say it again. In 2016, I did mention that the division should be as one, whether it's the women's or the tag team, or you put them on separate brands as an entire division. But I honestly feel that that is the way WWE is going to go. With Ronda Rousey going to SmackDown Live, or wanted at least by SmackDown Live, by Fox, for SmackDown in October, and we have the tag team championships coming to the women's division. That's not going to work with one set of titles on a show. The divisions most likely have to be merged for that to even work at all. So that is my opening thoughts on that, man. I really couldn't wait to talk about the Becky Lynch situation, the story where she's not a top draw. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But I got so much more here on Off the Script. I got news on Ronda Rousey completely changing the WrestleMania match card because she wanted Sasha Banks at the Royal Rumble. Lars Sullivan, a whole ton of news on Lars Sullivan. What the fuck is going on? Anxiety attacks. Did he walk out of Monday Night Raw? Is his push completely dead? We're going to talk about all that. Apparently he had a huge match at WrestleMania lined up. That seems to be in jeopardy right now. Fox Sports reportedly is very positive about SmackDown Live bringing the big ratings to Friday night. And a bunch of news and notes coming out of this week's dreadful Monday Night Raw. Plus, number 3 in the countdown, the top 5 Royal Rumble finishes of all time. Right here on episode 256. This is part number 3 for your Sunday. Right here on Off the Script. Off this shitty fucking product by coming on here and speaking the fucking goddamn truth about this fucking filth.
And I can book a better show taking a fucking dump after eating my fucking Chipotle chorizo with extra cheese.
I don't give a fuck what anybody has to say. Have I ever? Of course not.
WWE is great, man. Fuck you, Japan, and Kenny Omega, Okada. Johnny! What is it, Vince? Can I suck your dick? What is it, Vince?
And this is the #1 fucking podcast.
Right here on YouTube.com!
This is Off the Script. Man, I hope I can get through this show, and I'm going to pace myself accordingly because my voice is really shot right now, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's just the amount of recording that I did this weekend. We did part 1 and part 2 of Off the Script this weekend. In total, that was about 3 hours. We got an NXT UK review that's live on the channel right now. That was an hour, and I'm sure I'm going to go over an hour here, an hour and a half. It's a lot of fucking podcasts this weekend, man. So for anybody that doesn't appreciate what I do, want to spew hate on social media, for the people who want to chime in and say, oh, this isn't a real job. Why don't you stop sitting at home and go get a real job? Oh, it's very much a job, man. It's very much a job. I receive a paycheck at the end of the month. It's a fucking job. And I lose my voice. It's a job. Yes, my job is to speak. And my job is to inform, and I love what I do each and every fucking day, man. I hope you guys can feel the same way, but I do think it's me pushing myself through the entire weekend trying to get this content out, as much content as I can for you guys. Plus, in the downtime I had this weekend, I did stream on Twitch, so that could also factor into it. But I hope I could get through this podcast today and give you guys an Off the Script that you are expecting each and every single week. I want to thank everybody, man. We did do an NXT UK takeover. It lost my mind for a second, man. I'm just so fucking drained this weekend. NXT UK takeover. We did the review, and it went live this morning, actually, on the YouTube channel. 11 a.m., I told you guys, 11 a.m. sharp. It is there. We talk about everything from that unbelievable tag team title match with the grizzled young veterans, Zach Gibson and James Drake versus Mustache Mountain. Toni Storm winning the UK Women's Championship in a very, very good match with Rhea Ripley. I love both of those women very much. Pete Dunne retaining the UK Championship in a very good match with Joe Coffey. Finn Balor making his NXT return for the UK brand, going one-on-one with his student Jordan Devlin. And the WWE debut of Walter. That got a very, very good reaction, man. The NXT UK brand is off and running. I waited for this to happen, and I hope I can watch, every single week. I hope they get back to a regular schedule of 1 episode a week. It would be a lot easier for me to watch and a lot easier for me to digest. It's very difficult to watch 2 hours of NXT UK and then another hour of regular NXT down at Full Sail on Wednesday when we got Raw, which drains you almost all the time, every single week, and then SmackDown Live, another 2 hours. Then I gotta watch another 3 hours of wrestling on Wednesday. Man, it's a lot of fucking wrestling. I love me some wrestling, man, but the totality of the hours in the week to start the week is just ridiculous, and it drains everybody. So I hope they get back to a normal week. But if you guys missed the review, it is live on the channel right now. Please go and check that out. It was uploaded today. Also, if you guys missed part 1 and part 2 of Off the Script, those videos are linked in the annotation that you see in the top right corner of the screen if you are indeed watching on YouTube. I want to thank everybody listening on Spotify. I want to thank everybody listening on iTunes, man. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for all your support And if you're on iTunes, please don't hesitate to leave a rating on iTunes, man. It would greatly help the podcast out, and I would certainly appreciate it. Make sure you guys follow me on social media, man. Social media is key for anybody's growth in the community. I am both on Instagram and Twitter. I've been on Instagram a little bit more, man, so you guys can follow me on there for updates, and I post topics and off the script on there as well, letting you guys know to come on over to YouTube. Both social media platforms, the same name, man, JD from NY206. Make sure you guys go follow me on both Twitter and Instagram. Follow me on Twitch as well, JD from New York. I'm on there once or twice a week. Please make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and turn on the bells so that you guys are automatically informed of when I do upload. They don't work all the time. And I can tell you that they didn't work yesterday because off the script did only half of what it did on Friday, on Saturday. So if you guys missed anything, please go and check that out and make sure you guys are well notified and aware of when I do upload. If you guys want to support on Patreon, man, you guys can certainly do so. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. It is completely optional. It's the only way to get exclusive content not available on YouTube. I never ask you to go there. I never beg you. I never plead with you. I don't need my fucking family's bills paid because of Patreon. I don't need to beg or anything like that. Patreon is the way to support the podcast if you willingly want to do so, man. It's completely optional. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. Make sure you guys go and check out Harry's, man. Harrys.com/script. They are the official sponsor of Off the Script. Harrys.com/script is our unique link. Now, you're going to get a free trial shave set, a $15 value for free. And what is included is the following. You guys have a choice of 3 different colors, man. The navy blue, the orange, or the evergreen. You guys can choose whatever color you want. You're going to get a razor blade, man. When I tell you the blade is smooth, it's nice and fine, it's not going to cut you. I have very sensitive skin. I have not cut myself once with a Harry's blade. They got over 600 engineers, chemists, scientists, and people who've worked with steel their entire lives to ensure that you got the finest product using the finest ingredients, man. Believe me. So you're going to get a blade, a handle. You're going to get a generous 2-ounce bottle of their shave gel, which soothes, hydrates. It smells fantastic. And I can guarantee you when you put that on your skin, if you got sensitive skin like I do, that's going to leave a nice tingling sensation on your skin, man. And you're going to be like, damn, this feels pretty fucking good if you ask me. And then you're going to get a free trial protective case as well for your blade, whether you guys are on the go or you just want to put it in your medicine cabinet and make it look pretty, man. You're going to protect your blade with the case. All that for free. Harrys.com/script. You're going to go through the sign-up process. All you have to do is pay the shipping and handling, which is like $2 or $3 at most. It's going to be delivered within a couple of days right to your mailbox, and it's going to be the best shave of your life. Guaranteed. Believe me, man. Harrys.com/script. If you guys want another way to support the podcast by getting something for free, you guys can certainly do so, man. This is Audible. audibletrial.com/offthescript. You guys are going to get 30 days free of Audible service and 1 free audiobook of your choice. A lot of people are listening to audiobooks, podcasts, subscription services. Audible is giving you guys 30 days to browse their entire website, their entire catalog, and they're going to give you a free audiobook just for signing up. All you have to do is go to audibletrial.com/offthescript, go through the sign-up process, enter your information. You're going to choose your audiobook, and here's the best part. If you guys don't like Audible at all, within the 30 days, you can cancel anytime within that 30 days and still get to keep your audiobook for free. Whether you guys are on PC, Apple products, Android products, no matter where you watch me, iPhone, tablet, laptop, doesn't matter, man. Compatible with all devices. audibletrial.com/offthescript. 200,000 choices to choose from. And a lot of those are wrestling related. Whatever your heart desires is on Audible, man. So make sure you guys go and get something for free just for listening to the show. Thank you guys so very much for all that, man. Let's hit the news. And I want to start off with this story here about Ronda Rousey. We might as well keep the ball rolling with the women's division, because the women are going to be talked about a lot in the coming weeks and coming months on the road to WrestleMania. Ronda Rousey, we all know, is the Raw Women's Champion. She is the face of the women's division in WWE. Now, she is their biggest mainstream attraction, and WWE had an idea for a Royal Rumble match with Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair in a rematch from the Survivor Series, but that was changed. Now, I don't know how WWE would have went about doing that, being that Charlotte obviously is on SmackDown Live and Ronda Rousey's on Monday Night Raw. But it's a new era. I guess they could do whatever the fuck they want. Now, Dave Meltzer explained on the Wrestling Observer Radio why Ronda Rousey's Royal Rumble opponent was changed to Sasha Banks this week. Apparently, Ronda Rousey does want to face Banks, but WWE could have other ideas later on as well. He says, and I quote, "They revamped the Royal Rumble card, and that's where originally it was going to be Rousey and Charlotte, as they did all those interviews to build for it. That was changed. Ronda does want to work with Sasha Banks, and Ronda likes Sasha Banks. She thinks she's good, so that is a shoot." End quote. Now, there is a new Royal Rumble title match to send Ronda Rousey on the road to WrestleMania, likely as Raw Women's Champion. We'll have to wait and see how many opponents Rousey will be facing at WrestleMania. I'm not surprised by this. Sasha Banks has been left in the dust, and undeservedly so. She may very well be one of the best women wrestlers in the entire roster, probably on Monday Night Raw, if you ask me. She's been someone who's been, carrying the women's evolution on her back since day one, and then all of a sudden, it's like WWE found a new shiny toy and put Sasha Banks on the shelf and never really wanted to play with her ever again. Now, I know for a fact that WWE is waiting for the tag team titles to be instituted. That's where I think Sasha Banks is going to have her, I guess, comeback for 2019. There's no doubt in my mind that WWE is probably going to go with Bayley and Sasha Banks as the first ever women's tag team champions. It makes sense. And they've been very vocal about that, not only on TV, but on social media. But what this match does, it does a lot of good, and people really aren't thinking about how good this could be. Ronda Rousey needs all the in-ring experience that she could get from now until WrestleMania. Sasha Banks is going to bring that at the Royal Rumble. There's no doubt in my mind that Sasha Banks and Ronda Rousey are going to have a good match. Sasha and Ronda are probably going to go over what they want to do. Sasha is very involved in what she does. She's very proud of what she does. You can see that just by following her on social media. And I really love that aspect about her because she always wants to be better than she was previously. She is. I'm pretty sure I would put my money on it that she watches back what she does and where she makes her mistakes and how she could get better. Sasha is very prideful in what she does, and I really love that aspect about her. And the fact that she is very vocal about wanting to be the best of all time, man. You don't hear a lot of people saying that. If you say that, obviously it comes from within. That's just me. And I appreciate that about Sasha Banks. Sasha's going to bring Ronda Rousey to a very good match. Ronda needs all the experience she could get before WrestleMania. She's doing her own. She's handling her own shit. She's coming along very nicely. I still think that there are some things missing about Ronda Rousey that need to be worked on. I sat here many, many times. I think Shayna Baszler is much better than Ronda Rousey so far in comparing both in what they've done in the WWE so far. Another thing that this could do well for everybody involved here, including the WWE. WWE could use this, and they could have fun with this as far as a creativity standpoint goes. They could really plant some seeds here for what could come later on in the year with the horsewomen going, into a huge war with one another. The UFC horsewomen versus the WWE horsewomen, culminating in a big match at Survivor Series, main eventing Survivor Series. That would be great. The women main eventing WrestleMania and main eventing the Survivor Series in the same year. That is a big fucking deal. Sasha Banks is a part of the horsewomen just as much as Becky and Charlotte. And this could be a great opportunity to plant some fucking seeds for that. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I don't think Sasha Banks is just going to willingly go in there and tap out to the armbar. I think Sasha Banks is a lot better than that. She's not Nia Jax. She's not Natty. Sasha Banks has to be treated with a specific care. A little bit more careful with Sasha Banks that WWE has to be. So this could be used as planting of some seeds for what's to come. Charlotte could make an interference here. Becky could make an interference here. You don't think that WWE knows that Ronda came and interfered against them at TLC and caused both of them to lose a shot at the SmackDown Women's Championship? What if Becky and Charlotte try and do the same thing in the Royal Rumble and help their fellow horsewoman? It could happen. So WWE could certainly have fun with this, but I like how humble Ronda is being. Now, a lot of people, you get some stragglers on social media who don't really appreciate what Ronda does. Ronda's not perfect. I know why WWE gave the title to Ronda. I half agree with it and I half don't agree with it. And everything hopefully, comes full circle and we have a better understanding of what's going on with the women come WrestleMania. But Ronda Rousey is very humble in her approach. She loves being there. She's worked Monday Night Raw. She hasn't become the female Brock Lesnar that many people have, I guess, predicted before she came to the WWE. Oh, she's just another big name that's going to come and go when she pleases. No, she's been doing everything that WWE has asked of her. And she's involved in some major shit right now. I hope everything really, really gets to a level where we can all enjoy WrestleMania and are all excited as a community with what's going on. She wanted Sasha. She appreciates Sasha. She knows what Sasha's value is to the women's division and the evolution of women's wrestling. And she wanted personally to fight Sasha Banks at the Royal Rumble. You can't really sit here and shit on Ronda Rousey for that. She appreciates, where Sasha is and what she's done for the division, and she wants to give back. And to be fair, Sasha really hasn't had her time in the ring with Ronda Rousey. Everybody else has. Alexa Bliss has. Nia Jax has. And both of those women are well below Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks is going to get what she deserves, a match with Ronda Rousey at the Royal Rumble. And honestly, with Becky and Asuka being announced for the SmackDown Live Women's Championship and then Sasha and Ronda Rousey, that's a pretty solid card if you ask me as far as the women go. Oh, a nice 1-2 punch at the Royal Rumble on top of Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles. It's a pretty damn good Royal Rumble undercard right there, man. So the Royal Rumble is shaping up very nicely in Phoenix, Arizona. But I hope WWE does have some fun with this and are open to maybe being a little bit more creative, because Sasha Banks is a horsewoman just as much as Becky and Charlotte, who will factor into the WrestleMania main event. They could have some fun with this, man. Maybe we see Sasha Banks snap. And like I said, maybe Charlotte and Becky try and help Sasha, who is a horsewoman, a fellow horsewoman, and we see things really amped up at the Royal Rumble. It's going to be very interesting to see. But Rousey wanted Sasha. She got it. And that's how that came to be. Lars Sullivan's name has been in the news, most of it very negative. He hasn't even made his debut on WWE television yet, and already people are doubting Lars Sullivan. Whether it's him going head-to-head with Becky Lynch on social media, making stupid social media comments, him just on various message boards 10 years ago being uncovered, talking about fapping off to Stephanie McMahon and criticizing Jeff Hardy for being a drug addict and all this other shit he was talking about. Very political stuff as well. Lars Sullivan has been featured in video packages for the WWE coming soon. The Freak is coming soon from NXT. First, WWE highlighted him as the most sought-after free agent of all time. Completely nauseating garbage. Shut the fuck up. No, he's not. I don't know why they have to do that and have it come off in such an unnatural way. Fuck that. No, he's not. So, we don't get any Lars Sullivan, and he was supposed to debut on Monday Night Raw this past Monday. Now, apparently, he was sent home because of possible anxiety attacks. I don't know what that means. I don't know if WWE sent him home for anxiety attacks. I don't know what happened. It could be a variety of things. We just don't know. Dave Meltzer doesn't even know. He don't know anything. And Dave Meltzer went on to say on the Wrestling Observer Live exactly what everybody is stating here. Nobody knows what the fuck is happening with Lars Sullivan. Lars Sullivan was set to be part of Raw and SmackDown this week. It wasn't clear if he was supposed to actually debut on television or not, but he was about to work a dark match on Monday Night Raw. Now, Lacey Evans and EC3 did work dark matches on Monday Night Raw. Either way, it didn't happen because he was sent home after suffering what is believed to be an anxiety attack. Now, if that's the case, I don't want to poke fun, and I don't want to make light of somebody's anxiety attack, because I've had anxiety attacks before, and they're no fun. They're really no fun. But I don't blame Lars Sullivan for having anxiety attacks. I mean, look at where he's working on Monday Night Raw. He probably took one look at the fucking script, and he developed anxiety. Monday Night Raw, from various sources and various people, is a fucking circus. So he probably seen what the fuck was going on all around him. The mass confusion, the mass changes, the fucking minute people want to do something and then the next minute they want it to be something different and change it. There's no doubt in my mind that the guy suffered anxiety just being there behind the scenes of Monday Night Raw. So if that's the case, I don't want to poke fun, but that's the way Monday Night Raw is. That's all the beautiful things that we've heard about Monday Night Raw. But Lars Sullivan, if he did go home with anxiety, it's something that WWE needs to take seriously, because Mauro Ranallo suffers from, his mental disorders. And with him going on Showtime and doing that bipolar rock and roller, and with him, it's just a very, very, soft topic. You have to be very careful when you treat this type of issue. I mean, he's an ambassador for various mental health organizations. And Lars Sullivan, if he was indeed sent home with anxiety attacks, it's something that WWE really, really has to care for and understand. No matter if it changed plans or not, if it led to them rewriting the script on Monday Night Raw. We can joke about Lars Sullivan all we want. I never want to see anybody go through that at all. The guy's 30 years old. The guy certainly has a lot of potential. I see personally a lot of potential in Lars Sullivan. He's got a great physique. He can move around the ring very well for a guy his size. He's at a right age. He doesn't have all the experience in the world, but so coming up from NXT, honestly, putting him in a ring on Monday Night Raw, SmackDown Live could be a good thing. I just wouldn't put the rocket pack to him immediately. I would let him marinate over a nice long stretch and then give him an opportunity to shine. WWE threw him in a main event with Aleister Black, and it didn't really do anything for him. A lot of people seen that he wasn't really ready for that type of role. And I don't want the same thing to happen to Lars Sullivan on the main roster. Now, when I look at Lars Sullivan, I see a lot of old school. I see a lot of Bam Bam Bigelow. I see a lot of Big Van Vader in Lars Sullivan. I'm not saying that he's ever going to be as good as those guys were, but you got to give him a fucking chance because the potential is there. And with all the rumors that are going around with Lars Sullivan right now, he was indeed ready for a major push on WWE. I don't like giving someone a push based on simply the way they look. I don't like it. And this is what WWE was doing. They were looking at Lars Sullivan and they seen, oh, look at this guy. We're going to push him to the fucking moon. That really doesn't work good for anybody. It's got to be a genuine build. Now, Sullivan reportedly will have a huge push behind him and has said that WWE will give him all the chances in the world to succeed. However, you have to wonder if this recent mental health issue could hinder Vince McMahon's confidence in the 30-year-old superstar. I don't know why it would. You got to be careful with it. Everybody suffers from some type of anxiety. Maybe he suffered anxiety a little bit more than normal on that day. Maybe he was nervous. Maybe it was chalked up to nerves. I don't know. Lars Sullivan looks like a big bad motherfucker. But that doesn't mean that the guy is bulletproof. The guy probably got fucking cold feet. He probably got nervous. This is a big fucking deal for him. He was just in NXT fighting Keith Lee, and then all of a sudden he's on fucking Monday Night Raw. That's a big fucking deal to some. I don't know if Lars Sullivan expected to be on Monday Night Raw this soon, but he's here. And it could be an issue of just cold feet. Now, Brian Alvarez said on Wrestling Observer Newsletter that WWE was understanding, very much so, about Sullivan's issue. It was noted in the Wrestling Observer Newsletter how since Mauro Ranallo's issues came to be and became very public, that the company is being very empathetic towards this kind of issue. And they have to be. They have to be. This would be a PR nightmare if they did not. Mike Johnson noted that PW Insider Elite Audio or on PW Insider Elite Audio, that he hasn't heard anything new regarding Sullivan. He says, and I quote, "Just so you know, I haven't heard anything about Lars Sullivan at all, and I will update you on PW Insider as soon as we know more." End quote. Now, it was interesting how Johnson had updates for all the incoming NXT superstars except for Lars Sullivan. He didn't note how Sullivan actually suffered from an anxiety attack. We know who will be working with the Raw brand this week, according to the PW Insider Elite Audio, and we were told that SmackDown Live is the same way. We know who will be working SmackDown Live as far as the NXT talents go. However, it might not be a great sign that Johnson doesn't have an update on Lars Sullivan. Now, that could simply be WWE not pushing the issue, and they're going to let him get right before they bring him on back in and put him back into the plans that they originally had for him. So as soon as I find any information on Lars Sullivan, I will definitely keep you guys updated. Lars Sullivan was booked for a huge WrestleMania match before all of this actually went down, and we don't know if that is now in jeopardy with WrestleMania and Lars Sullivan. Now, as far as WWE and Lars Sullivan, Dave Meltzer also added, as of this weekend, he has no new update at all. No update whatsoever. I was hoping that I would know more, he says, but I don't. He is, as far as I think, he went home. I don't know what happened. I know he went home to Colorado on Tuesday, though. Did not go to SmackDown in Jacksonville. The guy was booked in a WrestleMania match against John Cena. I wrote it in the Observer. I was not told the finish. In fact, when I was asked, I was told that they had not discussed the finish either. Logic tells me that he was beating John Cena at WrestleMania. I could not imagine any other finish. I could be wrong, but that's not the point. I don't know if that match is still on. I think that we probably won't know anything until the Royal Rumble. I would presume the angle would be at the Royal Rumble because Cena is working the Royal Rumble. I mean, they still could. I don't know how the company's taking any of this, but it's too bad. The guy was in a position. I mean, you beat Cena at WrestleMania after 3 months on the main roster, or even just wrestle Cena to be in that position, because he's going to be one of the biggest push matches on the show. He's going to murder anybody. The guy's got a great look. The thing is, his look comes across more live than on TV. But he's got a great look. He's pretty damn athletic. He's got a lot going for him, and he can talk as well. I would never let him talk, says Meltzer, but he can actually talk. He is a guy who needs to stand there like a monster and have a great talker, and I don't mean the type of guy that Lio Rush is. I want someone who is a lot more diabolical and less cartoony. That's what Dave Meltzer recently said as of this weekend, Saturday, on the Wrestling Observer Live. Now, putting him in a match against John Cena, I am not in agreement with that whatsoever. Now, Meltzer did make a good point. Lars Sullivan was supposed to debut on Monday Night Raw. We got 2 weeks till the Royal Rumble. 2.5 weeks till the Royal Rumble. WWE could simply wait till the Royal Rumble, debut Lars Sullivan in the Royal Rumble. He could be one of those guys that owns the ring for a little bit, tosses guys out left and right, ends up with 9-10 eliminations by the end of the night. And one of those guys could be John Cena. Or maybe WWE can do an angle where John Cena eliminates Lars Sullivan and he gets so fucking pissed off, they do a post-elimination attack and Lars Sullivan comes back into the ring and he eliminates John Cena, and we see this big fucking melee outside where he just destroys John Cena and leaves a path of destruction on his way out after being eliminated in the Royal Rumble. That's something that could be done as well. It's easy to book. It's easy to book if they want to wait till the Royal Rumble and give this guy time to recuperate. Because it could be something that's completely blown out of proportion, and it could be just a simple cold feet issue. Anxiety. Why would the guy develop anxiety when he was very comfortable working NXT? He knows what to do in the ring, to an extent. And being on Monday Night Raw, he probably got fucking nervous. He got nervous. Oh shit, this is really happening. Anybody gets nervous in that type of situation. More so than others. But putting him in a match against John Cena, you know, it could get started at the Royal Rumble, but I'm not in agreement that that's the best idea for both guys at the Royal Rumble. I really don't know what they could do with Lars Sullivan if they want to debut him on the main roster. Now, John Cena, I would much rather have John Cena in a match against Drew McIntyre. I would rather them do that. Put Drew over. You know, John Cena is in so many of these passing of the torch moments. He really is. And that would be a great way for Drew McIntyre's stock to even rise more on WWE television by beating John Cena. I like the dynamic of Cena and McIntyre more so than I like Cena and Sullivan. And Dave Meltzer, I hope, would be right. If you're going to book Sullivan and John Cena, there's only one logical outcome here. This isn't John Cena of 10 years ago. This isn't John Cena at WrestleMania 30 beating fucking Bray Wyatt and burying Bray Wyatt, ruining his fucking career. This can't end up that way. John Cena doesn't need a win over Lars Sullivan. He is taking a Undertaker-like hiatus. He's going to come back when they fucking need him. So Sullivan beating Cena is the only logical thing. But Cena doesn't really have a good track record with newbies on the main roster. Bray Wyatt was only one of them. Imagine, or remember what happened to Wade Barrett and the Nexus. He killed off the entire Nexus faction in John Cena fashion, and that was one of the greatest moments in Monday Night Raw history. He killed them off one by one until he ultimately got to the leader, cut the leader's head off, and Wade Barrett was never the fucking same. So much potential in Wade Barrett, completely gone. Bray Wyatt, the same thing. You mean to tell me watching WrestleMania 30 that John Cena needed to beat Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania 30? Even with interference from Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, John Cena still beat Bray Wyatt. Why? Why? What happened to Damien Sandow? Damien Sandow was Money in the Bank. He lost to John Cena, and boom. Done. Guy never fucking recovered. John Cena doesn't really have a great track record for putting people over, especially at WrestleMania. What happened to Rusev? Rusev was fucking irrelevant for so long. You mean to tell me that John Cena needed to beat Rusev at WrestleMania? I believe Rusev was undefeated at that point. Did John Cena really need to beat Rusev's undefeated streak? Rusev had a nice little run going for himself. Unreal. I wouldn't put it past WWE to do the same thing with Lars Sullivan. You can't trust this company. And by the way, Lars Sullivan doesn't have main event experience anyway. John Cena I would much rather see John Cena in a match with Drew McIntyre. Lars Sullivan, I don't even think I would factor him into a WrestleMania match. I really don't. Battle Royal. You want to go deeper into it? I wouldn't even have called up Lars Sullivan. I really wouldn't have. I wouldn't be calling up any of these individuals, to be perfectly honest with you. Maybe EC3 and that's it. Because there's really no room for him down in NXT. But I wouldn't call up any of these individuals. I don't see any of these individuals standing out at all on the main roster. This is not what the main roster needs. The main roster can't even book their talent correctly now that have already planted themselves as everydays on Raw and SmackDown. Now they got to find room for Lars Sullivan and Lacey Evans and Nikki Cross and Heavy Machinery and EC3. They can't even book fucking Andrade Cien Almas correctly. Lars Sullivan doesn't have main event experience to be put in that type of situation. That was proven when he went up against Aleister Black for the NXT Championship. I believe it was in Chicago. I don't know how anybody could really sit there and think, well, Lars Sullivan deserves a match with John Cena. I don't think that's going to end up being very good at all. It's going to be somewhat forgettable at WrestleMania. And I don't want to go into a WrestleMania card with forgettable matches. I want it to be the best of the best. Lars Sullivan really isn't going to factor into anything right now, so why rush it? Why rush it? Make people believe first. You can't really believe based on look. Let's see what the fucking guy could do in the ring first. Let's see him speak for himself. Don't strap a rocket to him and expect people to just all of a sudden jump on the boat. Oh my God, this guy's dominating. Build him up. You did it with Strowman. It worked. You did it with Ryback. It fucking worked. Do it with Lars Sullivan. Don't rush it. Please, don't rush it. Moving on here, man. Being that we got that out of the way, speaking of John Cena, John Cena is about to receive an Undertaker-like schedule. Even more so that if it does happen, Sullivan should probably end up winning. An Undertaker-like schedule after the Royal Rumble. Now, the Barn Burners No Holds Barred podcast mentioned that John Cena's current deal with the WWE and his Hollywood obligations might require Cena to work an extremely light schedule from this point on. Barn Burners says, and I quote, John Cena is going to be like The Undertaker. He's going to show up on major events, and that's it after the Royal Rumble. He may show up at WrestleMania, but John Cena, don't forget he's 42 years old, and now his days are in the past. End quote. Yes, they are. You never know when we'll see Cena leave the WWE for an even longer absence. He's been hard at work recently on a Jackie Chan movie as he lived in China for the last 6 months, and he has even more projects on the way. Therefore, he really might be impossible to book as far as wrestling goes, but he will be going in and out, similar to what The Undertaker has done in the last couple of years. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. John Cena coming back, it really isn't moving the needle for WWE anyway. They really don't have any solid plans for John Cena. There's no doubt in my mind that WWE eventually is going to book John Cena to win his 17th title when things calm down. I do believe they want that record to go to John Cena. In fact, I wouldn't mind John Cena and Daniel Bryan this year at WrestleMania. Daniel Bryan seems... I don't know if they're going to take the title off him at WrestleMania or at Royal Rumble before WrestleMania, but I wouldn't mind John Cena stepping in and challenging the Daniel Bryan that we see now. I think that could be a good back and forth. I think that could be a major match at WrestleMania. And the match that they previously had at SummerSlam a couple years back, I loved it. I thought it was a great match. And the way Daniel Bryan is now with this environmentalist, this angry environmentalist, John Cena, and the promos that he could cut with Daniel Bryan, I think would be great. I think would be very good television. So John Cena coming in and receiving an Undertaker-like schedule after the Royal Rumble is pretty much a given for Mr. You Can't See Me. Now, when is the next time we will see John Cena? If he does take a hiatus after WrestleMania, when will we see John Cena? We could see him at SummerSlam, or we could see him play a major part on SmackDown Live when SmackDown Live moves to Fox in 2019. Now, I don't know how likely change is going to come to SmackDown Live when they move to Fox Sports. We can only hope for change, but a lot of people are still talking about the product changing for the better, being given a more sports-like feel over the course of time when they go to Fox. Now, Wade Keller addressed the rumors on PW Torch. This was interesting. I figured I'd throw this in here. Wade Keller reported on PW Torch on a SmackDown post-show this past week that WWE might need to change their programming style due to the Fox move. He said, it seems like Fox would have known what they were buying for primetime on Fridays. I appreciate Wade Keller because he's very logical. Like, Fox knows what they're buying. They have to know what they're buying. You're not going to shell out $1 billion for a product and you not know what you're getting. Now, they could very well know not what they're getting, and they just want a sports product to fill the void of UFC. But I'm pretty sure someone there has to know what type of product WWE is. Now, whether they're watching it intently enough to want to change certain aspects of the show, I can only hope. But Wade Keller says, and I quote, I am not in the camp of thinking there will be a big change. It's possible that has been blown out of proportion. It's an interesting discussion to have. If it turns out that definitely is a strong desire from Fox, if they want to make SmackDown and make it over, I question why they would pay so much money for a product they didn't like or want. End quote. It was noted that maybe everyone blew up the idea about WWE needing to alter their product at Fox's discretion to present a more serious sports-based product. WWE is well known, and Fox was certainly aware of what SmackDown Live looks like, dance breaks and all. As the months progress and WWE gears up for a move to Fox, it will be interesting to see if there's a change in tone. The cold open on Raw and SmackDown Live this week was a nice touch and a change from the norm. Perhaps this new era will provide some extra excitement that has caused so many fans to grow passive towards the entire product in general. You know, the change is not going to come from Fox. The change is not going to come from within the WWE, and the change that we want to see instituted on the product is going to come from a little group known as AEW. AEW is going to be direct competition for WWE. Happening on Tuesday, SmackDown's happening on Friday. That's a great time for AEW to get a TV deal, slide into the Tuesday night time slot, knowing that Fox is going to take SmackDown Live on Friday. The change is not going to come from Fox. The change is going to happen because WWE is going to have their buttons pushed in by AEW. They're going to deliver a product that people are going to be excited about, gravitate towards, and WWE's change is going to come from the first sign of competition they had since the days of WCW. There's no one, and I'm not even talking about Impact. Impact was not even a fucking issue as far as competition goes. AEW is going to be the first sign of competition that WWE's had since WCW. That is the only way change is going to come. And WWE is going to have to keep up the pace. What they have been doing for the last 6 years, since Monday Night Raw went to 3 hours, has been nauseating fucking garbage. They've been operating on their own wavelength. They've been operating in their own bubble, in their own world, just zoned out to everything else that's going on in the wrestling industry. The people who run the main roster shows don't know what the fuck the fans want or what the fans' desires are. This is why we've seen so many other promotions sprout up and people just deviate from WWE, New Japan, MLW, Lucha Underground, Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor, right? There's a reason why MSG sold out G1 in 16 minutes. That's not because of, it's just a bunch of indie marks. Selling out 19,000 fucking seats in New York City WrestleMania weekend ain't no small fucking task. I don't give a fuck who you are. Especially if it's a fucking Japanese-based promotion. Where no one over there really is going to move the needle if they go anywhere. How many times people came to me and said, Kenny Omega's not going to move the needle. Kazuchika Okada's not going to move the needle. So why the fuck did they sell out 19,000 seats? It's a lot of fucking smart marks, if you ask me. That's not a easy thing to do. WWE needs to pay attention to what's going on in the wrestling landscape. AEW is going to intensify that tenfold. They are going to warrant change in WWE without even being there. Because they're going to present a product that is going to not only take WWE's fan base away, who want a real sports-like product, but AEW is going to take away talent that is disgruntled. You don't think AEW? It's happening already, folks. You gotta be a fucking idiot not to see it. Disgruntled talent that hasn't been used is going to be used now on WWE TV. We're going to be seeing Almas more on SmackDown Live. As it pertains to SmackDown Live this week, they already booked him in a rematch against Rey Mysterio. Why is that? Because Rey Mysterio pulled out a fucking Mexican destroyer on SmackDown Live. Almas has been reportedly unhappy with his position in WWE. He wants competition? There you go. He wants to be used in a prominent role? There you go. We're going to start seeing Zack Ryder more on Monday Night Raw. We're going to start seeing Apollo Crews used more on Monday Night Raw. We're going to start seeing guys that we've wanted to see pushed more on Monday Night Raw because they don't want them to develop any more animosity to a point where they say, fuck it, I'm going to go to AEW, and AEW is going to be filled with nothing but WWE rejects who were just sitting on the sidelines waiting to be used, and here comes AEW going to treat their wrestlers with respect and give them a sense of creativity that they didn't have in WWE. They don't want that. So that is coming. That's the change that we need to see. With WWE, it's too little too late for these guys. You keep Apollo Crews on the sidelines for 2 years, you think it's automatically going to happen? Well, we'll push Apollo Crews on television. People will care. You made me think that Apollo Crews means nothing to you, so why the fuck am I going to care about Apollo Crews? Simple. Same thing with the tag team. You're going to see more sanity. You're going to see more club. You don't think WWE realizes that Gallows and Anderson want to go join their friends? You're going to start seeing more of the club on SmackDown Live. Believe me. Believe that it's going to happen. Fox ain't going to change SmackDown Live. I want them to. All the rumors about, college football on Saturday is going to follow SmackDown Live, and then NFL on Sunday. Fox wants WWE to be a little bit more mature, a little bit more sports-based in their direction. Yeah, I love that. I love that idea. And yes, it makes sense. Yes, it makes sense. But with AEW, they now have direct competition outside of WWE. That's where the change is going to come. So if we start seeing change on Monday Night Raw, SmackDown Live, if we start seeing people that we've never really seen before on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live being used a little bit more often, why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Because Vince McMahon realized, oh, well, I got this guy, let's use him. No. It's because they want to keep everybody happy so that they don't go to another rival promotion in the United States. I wish for change. I want change. We need change. WWE and every aspect of WWE is going to be changed by AEW being introduced. From talent being used to quality of the shows, I only hope. I don't want to get ahead of myself. It hasn't happened yet. Wait till AEW starts to be on television regularly and consistently. I hope the quality of the shows, talent being used, everybody that you don't see on TV is going to be used, contracts that are being given. Chris Jericho was just interviewed this weekend saying that AEW is paying more than WWE for a standard contract. That means the world to a lot of fucking people. Because money is a driving force. You're in this type of business where you're breaking your body down, you want to be fucking compensated for it. And if AEW is paying more and WWE doesn't find worth in these guys that they keep on the sidelines, where do you think they're going? AEW possibly instituting healthcare. That's going to drastically change WWE. If they offer healthcare, what do you think WWE is going to have to do? Everybody's being paid equal. Men and women being paid equally upon entry-level based contracts. That's going to take WWE and rewrite the entire structure of their contracts. You think Dana Brooke is making more than a Sasha Banks? Or you think Dana Brooke is making more than an Alicia Fox or vice versa? They're going to come on into AEW. If you are an entry-level male or female, you're going to be making the same amount of money based on your status in the company. You move the needle, you get a pay raise. It's going to be great. They are drastically changing the way a company operates. And if WWE doesn't notice this and take notice of it, then there could be a mass exodus. This could be WCW Monday Nitro all over again. Lex Luger showing up on fucking Monday Nitro. Ravishing Rick Rude being on Monday Night Raw and then showing up on SmackDown, on Nitro at the same fucking time. Taped one show, live the other. He was just on Monday. What the fuck's he doing over here? That's where the change is going to come. Fox ain't going to change SmackDown Live. I can only hope, being that they have more adult-like sports programs on their show. And what boggles my mind is WWE has NXT. WWE has NXT doing everything that AEW is going to do, and they still didn't realize, oh, this is the way things are going to be. There's no one that could look me directly in the face and tell me that WWE, if they took from NXT and instituted whatever they do in NXT just a little bit on the main roster, that the shows wouldn't be better off for it. I mean, there was a fucking chant in the United Kingdom last night for TakeOver UK Blackpool. Vince McMahon, are you watching? To a point where Vince went on social media and said, yes, I'm watching. Yes, it's awesome. Now, is he going to watch and realize, well, this is what's got to be done. This is what the fans want? Of course not. We can only hope. But Fox is very positive that SmackDown's going to bring the ratings as well. Meltzer discussed that aspect of it on Wrestling Observer Radio. When you really look at it, and I've written about it, it's not as much as people think, but it's a few percentages. But WWE's falling way faster than TV in general, which isn't a good sign. And they sign those big TV deals, and you know, I wonder about this all the time. No one's saying anything, and Fox thinks with all the promotion on Thursday Night Football that they're going to do big numbers on Friday with SmackDown, and we shall see. You never know how things will turn out in this new deal with WWE. After all, Fox has the power to change things if they want to. However, WWE might need to focus on their ratings to keep fans coming back in order to ensure that the deal is as best it could be, paying off for everyone involved. I don't know, man. Only time will tell. I'm not here to see or think about ratings. The quality of the program is there. People will come. That's all I could say about that. Give me consistent fucking television that makes me want to watch, and people will watch. People right now are not watching because the product is fucking terrible. The product is awful. If it was good, people would watch. People would go out of their way to watch. Treat the audience with fucking respect and book the show the way that they need to be booked. And that's it. People will come. Seth Rollins reportedly changing up his in-ring style to avoid boring chants. Seth Rollins, right now, the biggest babyface on Monday Night Raw. His moveset is exciting at times. He puts himself out there and gives it his all in the ring every time. However, some fans might be able to predict what he's about to do next. Therefore, Rollins decided to switch things up a little bit on Raw this past week. Everybody's got the same moveset, especially if you're in WWE, man. Everything is just the same. You look at Finn Balor, you know what's coming, when it's coming, and how he's going to do it. That's just one example. You know, Roman Reigns, when he was active, same shit every fucking match. You know what's coming, when it's coming, how he's going to do it. It's disgusting how everything is just laid out. There's no intrigue to watching a wrestling match in WWE. It's just the top guys got their shtick, and they're going to do it, and that's it. And some fans hate it. Some fans don't really give a shit about it. Some fans have, more so than I remember, have chanted boring to Seth Rollins. But I don't think it's mostly his fault. I honestly think it's a mixture of everything. It's a mixture of Rollins' fault. It's a mixture of WWE creative. Especially with the fucking Rollins-Ambrose match that we seen. That was not really their fault at all. Whoever produced that match was fucking terrible. Rollins did compete twice on the program, so it stands to reason that he wants to keep things fresh. He also doesn't want to repeat of the fans chanting boring at him either when he faced Dolph Ziggler at Extreme Rules and then Dean Ambrose at TLC. Now, on the Wrestling Observer Radio, Meltzer noted, and I quote, he doesn't want to get boring chants. He wants to work really hard, so he wants to be great in doing so. He was great on Raw. He was the star of the show. End quote. Now, Rollins is one of the hardest working guys in WWE, in the ring and in the gym. He does a lot of CrossFit, which you guys know, and that has been able to help him do some incredible things. It's a good thing, too, because apparently no matter how great he is, Rollins is still, the brunt of boring chants, which he never wants to hear again, so he's working very hard to make that happen less and less and less. You know, it's not really Rollins. It's not really Rollins. It's the people that they're putting him up against. And it's the way that they're overly scripting Seth Rollins' matches. You think if Seth Rollins went to NXT and did what he did in NXT compared to what he did on the main roster, he'd get boring chants? No, of course not. He would not be getting boring chants. It's the caliber of talent that they're putting him in the ring with. You know, Ambrose and Rollins have had good matches before in the past. There's no reason why these guys should have sucked that badly at TLC. There's no reason. It was all in the placement of that match, and it was all in the way that match was produced. It should have been a blood feud. That match should have started out fucking hot and heavy, battering each other, beating each other's brains in. Starts off with a fucking wrist lock. I mentioned this time and time again. WWE come Monday Night Raw, they're booking Seth Rollins and Bobby Lashley the way that they should have booked Rollins and Ambrose. Rollins and Lashley started off the show with a huge pull-apart brawl. Where the fuck was Dean Ambrose? Why wasn't this done with Dean Ambrose? You mean to tell me it's Rollins' fault? Look at what they're doing. They're giving the Rollins-Ambrose feud and the heat that feud should have to fucking Bobby Lashley. Guy couldn't even make a fucking 98-year-old grandmother fucking grin and smile. Fuck out of here, man. No, it's all Rollins' fault. I hope that he changes up his in-ring style. New era. New direction. Fresh things up. Dean Ambrose, likely challenger for the Intercontinental Championship. Meltzer noted on the Wrestling Observer Radio that WWE has a few options of where Ambrose could go next with his story as champion. Now, a big hint could have been the six-man tag that Ambrose competed in to open the show, but out of those opponents, the only one plausible option comes to mind. In the end, Bobby Lashley cost Seth Rollins the IC title, so it looks like, I don't know what they're going to need to do, because Dean is going to need a new challenger if Seth is married to Bobby Lashley in this feud, he says. So, did they seem to build anyone? Not really. I mean, the babyfaces against Ambrose was Seth, who was just with Ambrose and John Cena. He may work with Ambrose, but he's going to be gone pretty soon. Finn Balor, I guess it could be Finn later. It's a possibility. End quote. Ambrose might not need an opponent for his title going into the Royal Rumble because he's already announced for the Royal Rumble match. There are a few options that WWE has for Ambrose, so in the meantime, we'll just have to see who is able to step up and face the lunatic fringe, or what they're calling now the moral compass. Jesus fucking Christ, man. At this point, honestly, I would not even have Dean Ambrose in an Intercontinental Championship match at all. The Intercontinental title, I mean, the undercard for the Royal Rumble is pretty fucking solid right now with AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan. You got the two women's matches, Asuka and Becky. You got Sasha and Ronda. You got Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar. It's pretty solid as is. You don't need an Intercontinental Championship match. Plus, you got the Fatal 4-Way for the Cruiserweight Championship. You don't need it. You don't need it. So Ambrose being in the Royal Rumble only without a title defense, fine. It gives WWE more time to come up with a likely challenger next for the IC title, whether it's Ambrose Rollins or Ambrose Rollins Lashley or Ambrose and Finn, Ambrose and Elias. They got time to come up with someone else outside Seth Rollins because, more than likely, Rollins could end up winning the Royal Rumble. And the Intercontinental Championship will definitely need, at that point, then, a new challenger. And Ambrose and Rollins might not have anything to do with each other. You might as well just end it in the Royal Rumble. And just cut your losses. It's been god-awful. It's been fucking terrible. Move on. Braun Strowman. Jesus Christ, man. I talked about Braun Strowman on Monday Night Raw Review, and I had a bunch of fucking troll accounts with Braun profile pictures and Braun headers. People who live in their fucking basements, guaranteeing you they got fucking fat slobs, that they're fat slobs and they're fucking typing at their fucking computer, banging away, right? They're banging away at their keyboard with fucking Dorito chips in their fucking neck hair. Fucking ridiculous, man. I mentioned something about Braun Strowman and everybody goes into a fucking frantic fucking attitude. Braun Strowman completely forgot his script on Monday Night Raw. Completely forgot it. Okay. So, it sucked to be Braun Strowman on Monday Night Raw. Meltzer mentioned this on the Observer Live. Yeah, Braun Strowman forgot every single line. Braun Strowman's a big guy. People like him. He doesn't use these segments and they become train wrecks often. Everything usually goes the way it's supposed to go. But the reality is, he's not your top guy. He cannot deliver in the ring unless you've got gimmicks. Straight professional wrestling matches, he's not top level. As we saw last night, he's not clear to wrestle. And this was obviously after Raw. As what we saw last night, he's not clear to wrestle, so we had to do a talking segment, and he's not a main event talker. He's not even close to being a main event talker. He's forgetting his lines, stumbling through things. It was awkward. End quote. WWE superstars are handed a script of lines to memorize, and sometimes that can be a pretty hard thing to take in and get right. It looks like Braun might have a long way to go before he can be trusted with a lot of segments. Maybe he was just having an off night, but he certainly seemed like there was something wrong with Braun Strowman in Orlando on Monday Night Raw. Now, speaking of Braun Strowman not being cleared, he might not even be cleared until the day of the Royal Rumble. Mike Johnson noted on PW Insider Elite Audio, that Braun Strowman is not cleared to wrestle right now, and he might not be cleared to compete until the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. He still has 3 weeks to heal because Strowman is set to face Brock Lesnar at the big show in Phoenix. Braun needed to have bone spurs cleaned from his elbow. Therefore, that does require some reasonable amount of time. He obviously wasn't ready to go at TLC, which is why WWE booked an angle like they did. And hopefully he will be able to rest up and come back at full force for WrestleMania and the Royal Rumble. I'm going to say it once, I'm going to say it again, and I'm not going to spend too much time here on this. Dave Meltzer got it 100% right. Brian Alvarez got it 100% right. He's a gimmick guy. There's nothing about Braun Strowman that reads to anybody, number one guy. You look at Braun Strowman, me personally, I've been watching wrestling since I was 4 years old. Okay? Over 30 years. I look at Braun Strowman, I do not see a top guy in WWE, or let alone on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown Live, in Braun Strowman. I don't. The guy is a walking gimmick. The guy has not had one good match outside of a fucking gimmick match. Yeah, Roman Reigns brought him to some good matches, but how many of those were gimmick matches? Ambulance matches and no DQ matches, hardcore matches, guys breaking shit on Monday Night Raw every fucking week, whether it's pulling down the fucking stage, breaking pianos and bass guitars on stage, throwing Kevin Owens off the stage in a fucking porta potty. The guy is a walking fucking gimmick. You're not going to put Braun Strowman in the main event of WrestleMania and call it a true main event. The guy is a gimmick. The guy can't get by without a gimmick. Without a gimmick match. That does not read top guy. And on top of that, forgetting his lines? You're going to get these hands? You're nothing but a coward? Whoever wrote those pedestrian lines on Monday Night Raw should be fucking fired. They should be fired. I look at Braun Strowman and I see a fucking novelty act. He's a big guy. He's athletic for what he is. And believe me, I was all for Braun Strowman being pushed when WWE had this guy built up to a point where he was the guy. He's the next champion in line. They failed to do it. They didn't strike while the iron was hot. And how many times has WWE gone about not giving you what you want when you need it? They never strike while the iron is hot. They were hot with Joe. They didn't do it. They were hot with Strowman. They didn't do it. Strowman, they tried. They tried. After he lost to Lesnar, that was it. They tried so desperately to build him back up. Well, let's do what we did last time. It might work again because the fans are stupid. And they did it. And WWE completely dropped the ball again. Right? Roman won the title and then they turned him heel. They turned Strowman heel. And then when Roman's gone, they got to revert back to their old plan because now Roman's gone. What are we going to do? Oh, we fucked up with Braun Strowman. Let's turn him back to a babyface again. That fell right on its fucking face. And good for them. The guy never recovered. And on Monday Night Raw, I said it word for word. The guy exposed himself as not being the guy. I don't give a fuck what you do. You're talking about Braun Strowman beating Brock Lesnar? Fuck not. I hope Braun Strowman gets fucking slaughtered at the Royal Rumble. Brock Lesnar and everybody hating on Brock Lesnar, yeah, fine, it may be warranted, but I would much rather have night and day, 10 times out of 10, Brock Lesnar walk into WrestleMania as the Universal Champion than Braun Strowman. You know why? Because Brock Lesnar, every single night of the week, is going to give you a better match than Braun Strowman. Every single fucking time. You know why? Because Brock Lesnar can actually wrestle when he's called upon to fucking wrestle. Braun Strowman, what is he going to do? Run around the ring like fee, fi, fo, fum giant? What is he going to do? Choke slam you? What is he going to do? Do his little fucking pose in the ring? Get these hands? Fuck out of here, man. What a fucking miserable guy to lead your brand. Especially now. You know, it's within my right to be sour. Every bit sour on Braun Strowman. Might not be his fault, but the guy hasn't gotten better. The guy hasn't shown me that he's gotten better over the years. He hasn't excelled. He hasn't proven to me that he deserves it. Everything's the fucking same with this guy. Everything. It's like you go to the same fucking bar and they got the same beers on tap. Give me something different. Give me something different. You go to a bar in the summer and they got fucking, all the generic fucking shit. They got not one summer fucking ale. Then you go to a bar, that same bar in the fall, and they still got the summer ales out. Where are the fall beers? Where are the fall seasonals? You haven't changed. You're not showing me that you want to fucking cater to your paying customer. Guy hasn't done anything. He gets by on look and size alone. Again, the landscape of pro wrestling is changing. Guys like Braun Strowman, yeah, they may be a rarity, but that's not what we want to see. It's not what we want. Who the fuck wants to see a Braun Strowman in the main event of WrestleMania? I don't want to fucking see that. Braun Strowman versus Drew McIntyre as people desire's main event. Are you fucking out of your mind? That's a disrespect to Drew McIntyre. That match would be fucking terrible. As far as I'm concerned, Braun Strowman would be lucky to be in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. There's a reason why he teamed with Nicholas to win the tag team titles. That's how WWE should be treating Braun Strowman, like an irrelevant fucking clown. Brock Lesnar versus Braun Strowman again. What gives you the mindset that people are going to fucking care about this after he lost to Lesnar twice now? And he's coming off an injury. And Lesnar's submission move is a Kimura lock. Give me a fucking break, people. Strowman is old news. Strowman is old news. The guy is nothing special. Deep down, we all knew it. We all wanted to believe. We all wanted to follow the hot hand. All you Strowman heads out there, how does it feel that your guy is not the guy? Move on. Go find someone else to suck the dick of. He exposed himself on Raw. He might not be cleared until the Royal Rumble. Braun Strowman and Brock Lesnar, the winner reportedly is still undecided for the Royal Rumble and the Universal Championship match. Barn Burners No Holds Barred podcast mentioned that WWE is currently still weighing the options on which way to go following Chase Field and the big event at the Royal Rumble. They say, and I quote, Brock Lesnar and Braun Strowman, you saw the confrontation on Raw. They don't know what direction they're going to go yet. Could Braun Strowman win the title, or could Brock Lesnar keep the title heading into WrestleMania? They don't know what direction they're going in yet. So a lot of things are up in the air with WrestleMania and with the Royal Rumble and WWE. End quote. There is a reported undecided winner at the Royal Rumble. I'm going to make it easy for you. Brock Lesnar. Move the fuck on. Move the fuck on. Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, Brock Lesnar, AJ Styles, Brock Lesnar, Drew McIntyre. All much better options than anything having to do with Braun Strowman. Fuck out of here. It's not that difficult. After Monday night, the answer pretty much revealed itself. Exposed. Apollo Crews. Going from one loser to the other. Apollo Crews. Mike Johnson discussed on PW Insider Elite Audio that Apollo Crews could possibly be receiving a major push on Monday Night Raw. What good is it? What good is it? You kept this guy in captivity for 2 years, and now all of a sudden you want to bring him out to the fucking general public. Oh, look, Apollo Crews. Who the fuck is going to care about Apollo fucking Crews? They seem to want to do something with Apollo Crews. I wonder why. Is it because AEW seems to be calling? Maybe he's on a slow burn because he's going to be entering the Royal Rumble. I feel like there's a lot more potential to him, and I worry that you've got that guy sitting there, you got to use him, and he's been used so poorly that he's never going to recover. End quote. You never know if WWE could try and rebuild Apollo Crews, but they need to do something with him. After suffering so many losses, it might be hard for the fans to really believe he can win unless he pulls off something amazing. Maybe he's got to go into the Royal Rumble and have a nice little spot in the Royal Rumble where he's the sole guy. Elimination after elimination after elimination. Like in 1994, Diesel owned the Royal Rumble for like 8 spots, 8 positions. Something like that. Now, Apollo Crews is apparently Raw's human highlight reel. Okay, what is Apollo Crews doing differently than Seth Rollins or Finn Balor? That is a fucking highlight reel. I don't know. That's his moniker. Hasn't been able to live up to it yet. Only time will tell if there could be a big plan to turn things around for Cruz, but other options in professional wrestling are opening up. Yeah, AEW. That's why he's being used on Monday Night Raw, folks. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. Finally, guys, we're going to end with this because I am absolutely spent, and I still have to bring you guys my number 3 in the list of top Royal Rumble finishes of all time. I don't know why I'm mentioning this because I really didn't give a shit about it. You know, it was done for shock factor only, and it really wasn't as gross, really. I mean, this was it was a stunt done to create reaction. And I can't imagine this being real and one wanting to do it to the other and then the recipient being okay with it. Priscilla Kelly, who I'll probably see at Evolve 120 on Saturday night. Priscilla Kelly is the talk of the town this past weekend with this tampon incident that happened. Now, she did open up on it, and she was asked if she's worried about this tampon incident ruining her chances with WWE. She actually spoke with the Shining Wizards podcast, and she commented saying that she didn't expect this kind of negative backlash over her spot. Well, you're living in a social justice warrior snowflake pussy-like society. Why the fuck would you sit there and say to yourself, well, I didn't expect any negative reaction? Jesus fucking Christ, you look at somebody you breathe the wrong way around somebody. They're fucking, they're calling you out on social media. You fucking cough behind a woman. Oh, he raped me. He put his hands on me. Now, Priscilla Kelly competed in the Mae Young Classic. She was actually one of my standouts in the entire tournament because she looked like a young Paige. Now, we all loved Paige when she was introduced to the WWE Universe. She had that rebel-like look. Priscilla Kelly was very reminiscent of an old Paige. Now, it will be interesting to see if they bring her back. When asked if she had a worry about what WWE thought about this spot, she had a pretty interesting opinion. She isn't worried because there are plenty of other places to wrestle even if WWE never calls again. Yeah, AEW. She says, honestly, no. I don't think it blew any chance. I mean, if it did, there's plenty of other opportunities in the world of professional wrestling for me. There's plenty of other ways to make money in this business. Would I like to go to WWE? Yeah. I'd love to go to WWE. I'd like to go anywhere. I like making money. I like expanding my horizons. I like showing off my work on very large platforms. At the same time, no, I don't think it really could have harmed me because I think there's a lot worse things that have happened. Not only on TV, but I think there are a lot worse things that have been done in wrestlers' lives, privately. These things are very public, and I think what I did, it was simply a stunt at the end of the day. There's no cruelty behind my actions, and I think that is the most important aspect. End quote. Now, we will have to wait and see if WWE calls Kelly again, but if they do, there's a pretty strong chance that they will not allow her to duplicate, clearly, any of these antics that she did in the ring with this tampon incident. Now, did I watch the clip? Yes. Was I skeeved out at the sight of it? Yes, because you get your imagination running wild. You honestly think this woman pulled out a tampon and shoved it down somebody's mouth and shoved it in someone's face? No, of course not. No, it was a fucking stunt to create buzz on social media. In my eyes, that aspect of it worked, and she did a fucking brilliant job at it. She got, who the fuck is Priscilla Kelly? Now you know who Priscilla Kelly is. So now you're probably more open to go watching her work. What does she do? What does she look like? How does she wrestle? So she opened up a whole new world of possibilities with this one stunt. Was it fucking disgusting? The thought of it was yes. Should it have happened? No! No, it should not have happened in a wrestling match. Never should have happened in a wrestling match. But am I going to sit here and not sign Priscilla Kelly off something that happened when there is far worse being done in the industry? No, of course not. That's all I will say. Did it bother me? Did I go on Twitter and start claiming women's rights and discrimination or whatever the fuck these people are talking? No, I didn't care. I didn't care. She is a performer, and she wanted to gain some traction to her brand and her name. She wants to make more money, and obviously, She's going to be at Evolve on Saturday night. Evolve 120. I'm going. Johnny Gargano versus Austin Theory. She's going to be there. And you know what? Evolve is a WWE partner. So if they were so sickened by this, they should have pulled it from the show. So apparently not. And Evolve actually stood with Priscilla Kelly and they retweeted her statements on social media. It was blown out of proportion for absolutely no reason because people can't accept the fact that people sometimes go into business for themselves to create a buzz. I don't agree with it. It was fucking disgusting, or at least the thought of it was. I knew it was all a stunt. It wasn't real. But she did something to gain traction. It's good and it's bad. Do I care that Priscilla Kelly did what she did? No, I don't fucking care. Good on her. I hope she finds all the success in the world. Simple as that. I'm getting out of here, guys. Thank you so very much. We got one more part. I want to talk about my number 3 in the Royal Rumble history, the history of the Royal Rumble. Number 3 greatest ending of all time in my eyes. The 3rd greatest ending to a Royal Rumble match in its history. We're going to go over that right now. Thank you guys so very much for everything, man. If you did enjoy the video, please hit that thumbs up and subscribe down below. Hit that thumbs up like I mentioned. Let's try for 1,500 thumbs up. I know you guys are probably watching fucking football, so who the fuck gives a shit about wrestling and what I do here? But regardless, guys, thank you so much. Barbershopwindow.com/offthescript for your t-shirts. Go get your t-shirts today. Use code BSHOP10. Harrys.com/script. Get your free razors today. All you guys have to do is pay the shipping and handling. Audibletrial.com/offthescript for your free audio book and 30 days free of Audible service. Follow me on social media, man. JD from New York on Twitch, at Twitter, and at Instagram, JD from NY206. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. And Patreon, man. Please support on Patreon. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. So I am going to see you guys in a little bit. We will talk about the Royal Rumble, my number 3 greatest Royal Rumble ending of all time. Until next week, guys, thank you so much. Brand new week of wrestling coming up, starting with Raw. And I'll see you guys on Monday night, man. Thank you so much for watching, and let's talk Royal Rumble. It's about that time, man, where we talk about the greatest Royal Rumble endings of all time. Now, if you guys watched last week's episode, we went over number 5 and number 4. And this week, we're going to do number 3. Number 5, my number 5 entry into this list was the Royal Rumble 2008, where John Cena won the Royal Rumble, and he came back in Madison Square Garden, and he eliminated Triple H to win the Royal Rumble, coming in at number 30. And the place went fucking crazy. Now, I put that in the list because of where I was and the unpredictability factor of it, that WWE really snuck that underneath everybody's noses. Nobody had any idea. John Cena had a serious injury that was going to cause him to miss 9 to 10 months of action. He came back in 3 or 4, showed up in the Royal Rumble, and he won the Royal Rumble. I thought that was a great moment. Everybody that hated John Cena was just blown away by his inclusion in that match. Now, we went on to number 4, and I talked about the 1994 Royal Rumble with Bret Hart and Lex Luger having co-winners next to their name in the 1994 Royal Rumble. And we could very well see that in this year's Royal Rumble 2019 for the women, with Becky Lynch and Charlotte. And I go over in depth what I liked about that specific moment as well, and what that moment led to at WrestleMania 10. My number 3 is an ending that I think a lot of people thought was going to be my number 1. You might not know me that well, man. You might not know me that well at all. It's certainly my favorite Royal Rumble of all time, and the WWE have never produced a Royal Rumble as great as this one. The 1992 Royal Rumble, in which Ric Flair came in at number 3 to win the entire Royal Rumble. Not only win the Royal Rumble, but be crowned the new WWF champion. Now, why was the Royal Rumble that year being contested for the WWF championship? Well, in months prior, Ric Flair And I'm going to try and go off the top of my head with this. I might miss a few things here and there because I'm extremely exhausted. But months prior, Ric Flair came into the WWF. He was still, I believe, the NWA champion. And he had the big gold belt with him. And he showed up on WWE television with it, and they blurred the belt. They didn't want another promotion's title being on WWF television, and they blurred the title. Now, at this point, Hulk Hogan and The Undertaker were feuding for the WWF Championship, and this was around the 1991 Survivor Series in which The Undertaker beat Hulk Hogan, but it took Ric Flair and Paul Bearer to beat Hulk Hogan. And The Undertaker walked out of the Survivor Series in 1991 with the WWF Championship. I remember that vividly. I remember how ecstatic Bobby the Brain Heenan was on commentary. I remember The Undertaker, after the match was over, dragging the title behind him like it was some fucking rotting corpse. So, The Undertaker was crowned the WWF champion. And that spawned Tuesday in Texas, in which Jack Tunney figured, well, it took 3 people to beat Hulk Hogan. Let's do it all over again in Texas, Tuesday night, the rematch, Hogan versus The Undertaker. And the same thing happened again. The same shenanigans happened again. This time, Jack Tunney was sitting at ringside. Ric Flair tried to interfere. Paul Bearer tried to interfere. It was the same old shit again. And it led to just one big mess in which there was no champion crowned. And the WWF Championship was vacated. It was taken away from both Hogan and The Undertaker. And Jack Tunney made an executive decision to put the title on the line in the Royal Rumble in 1992. Now, from that Tuesday in Texas, just chaos with Hogan and The Undertaker. Being that match was contested for the WWF Championship, I believe Jack Tunney instituted, well, you know, you guys have pick of the litter for the Royal Rumble. You guys are going to get a random draw. You guys can come out, instead of drawing numbers from 1 to 30, they were drawing numbers from 20 to 30. So they had prime positions being in the main event of Tuesday in Texas. Come the Royal Rumble, The Undertaker and Hulk Hogan were guaranteed spots anywhere from 20 to 30 in the Royal Rumble. Now, with Ric Flair, it was actually noted, and I took notes on this because I wanted to give you guys some backstory on this. Now, Ric Flair, the day of the Royal Rumble, came out at number 3. He did not know he was going to win the Royal Rumble until he arrived at the arena that day. And Vince McMahon gave him number 3 in the Royal Rumble. Now, he also felt like that was a good number for him because it would show off how good he is in the ring. But Bobby the Brain Heenan actually went on and mentioned in his autobiography that he pitched to Vince McMahon that Ric Flair should come in at number 1 because it would create a more dramatic feel for the Royal Rumble. And Vince McMahon didn't want number 1. Vince McMahon, doing Vince McMahon things, wanted to coin it as his own idea. So he took Bobby Heenan's idea and said, no, not number 1. We're going to do it my way. We're going to do it number 3. Either way you look at it, it's still impressive. Number 1, number 2, they're the same number. Number 3, who gives a shit? It's 2 minutes after the fact of number 1 and number 2 entering the ring. Who cares? Who cares? It would have been great aesthetically. And for the record books, Ric Flair came in at number 1, won the Royal Rumble, lasted over an hour, and won the WWF title. It would have been great. It would have been great. So we get into the Royal Rumble, and Bobby the Brain Heenan on commentary, one of the greatest commentary moments in the entirety of WWE history. He's sweating. He's just ranting to Gorilla Monsoon. He wants to run down to the ring and give Flair a towel or some water, and Gorilla Monsoon is just like, you stay here. You got a job to do. The entire event was billed as up until this point at least, the most star-studded Royal Rumble of all time. You had former WWF champions. You had The Undertaker. You got Hulk Hogan. You got, who else was in there? You had Roddy Piper in there. Shawn Michaels in there. The British Bulldog was in there. Sergeant Slaughter was in there. Macho Man Randy Savage was in there. A lot of talent back in the day in there. Ted DiBiase was in there. And with Ric Flair lasting all the way up until the end, the final four came down to Hogan, Flair, Savage, and Sid Vicious. Sid Vicious, good old Psycho Sid. Now, Justice eliminated Savage, and then he eliminated Hulk Hogan. Now, apparently, Hulk Hogan thought that he and Sid Vicious were friends, and it was just such a childish storyline where Hulk Hogan thought that Sid Vicious was his buddy, and he was going to help him, and they were going to help each other try and win the Royal Rumble. It was going to come down to those two only, and Sid Vicious said, fuck that. It's every man for himself. I played you like a fucking guitar solo. You go fuck yourself, Hogan. I'm going to win this thing. So then Hogan, on the outside, complaining to the fans, I trusted you. How could you betray me? He's like, I trusted you, this and that. Crying on the outside, only like Hogan can do. And apparently, according to various sources, the reaction live that night was pro Sid Vicious, and they were cheering the elimination of Hulk Hogan because Hulk Hogan at that point was the Roman Reigns of 2018. People just wanted him to just go away. They were sick of Hogan being pushed down everybody's throat at the center of everything. So they were happy when Hogan wasn't going to win the Royal Rumble. And it's tough because when you got Flair in there at number 3, and he lasted all the way to the end, of course everyone wants Flair to win the Royal Rumble because it's never been done before up until this point. So Hogan was eliminated by Sid Vicious. Savage is gone. Vicious eliminated both of them. Ric Flair comes up from behind while he's arguing with Hulk Hogan. He dumps Sid Vicious over the top rope. Ric Flair wins the Royal Rumble and the WWF Championship. Now, I love this because of how epic it just was. Not only was it, the longest run in the Royal Rumble up until that point, it was for the WWF Championship. And what led to Flair being the champion, he defended the title at WrestleMania 8 against Macho Man Randy Savage. And that was probably the best match on that entire show, to be perfectly honest with you. A very lackluster WrestleMania, but I love the storyline going into that. It was something, even to this day, that I think, what if? What if Ric Flair didn't win the Royal Rumble? Because at the same time, when Hogan and Undertaker were feuding over the WWF Championship and Tunney vacated the title, we also had Macho Man Randy Savage and Jake the Snake Roberts in a blood feud going back and forth with one another. I always wonder if Ric Flair, and this is a great question for a topic of discussion, what if Ric Flair didn't win the Royal Rumble? Who would win that Royal Rumble? Imagine if Jake the Snake Roberts, who was in that Royal Rumble, won that match and became the WWF champion. Imagine Jake the Snake went into WrestleMania and was the WWF champion, and he fought Macho Man Randy Savage, and Macho Man took the title of Jake the Snake instead of Ric Flair. I honestly still feel to this day that Ric Flair being the champion and being put in a feud with Macho Man was very out of left field. Because the only likely one to feud with is Hulk Hogan. And according to rumor, WWE didn't want to do Flair versus Hogan for obvious reasons. Neither one of them wanted to lose to one another, but they were doing the house show circuits, and the rumor was that the match, A, wasn't good, and B, it really wasn't getting much of a reaction. I don't believe any of that for a second. Imagine the two scenarios. Imagine if Flair got Hogan at WrestleMania, how much bigger WrestleMania 8 would have been. And imagine if Flair didn't win the Royal Rumble and they gave it to Jake the Snake, having Savage take the title off Jake the Snake at WrestleMania. Instead of Jake getting The Undertaker, it just ended up all over the fucking place. Shit didn't really match at WrestleMania 8. I still to this day wonder about all that shit. But it makes for a great topic of discussion. Really. And we got Hogan versus Sid Vicious. We got Macho Man versus Ric Flair. And we got The Undertaker versus Jake the Snake Roberts. It's like, imagine shuffling all that shit around and getting a different WrestleMania. WrestleMania 8 could have honestly ended up being one of the most star-studded WrestleManias of all time. And it ended up being one of the most lackluster WrestleManias of all time. But that is my number 3 for greatest endings to a Royal Rumble match in history. Ric Flair winning the 1992 Royal Rumble and becoming the WWF champion. Now, coincidentally, in 1993, Ric Flair came out early in the match and he was eliminated in the match. He didn't fare nearly, not even a half of what he did in the 1992 Royal Rumble. And he was actually eliminated by Mr. Perfect in 1993, which led to Ric Flair leaving WWF in 1993. So, a matter of a year, Flair went from winning the Rumble and the WWF title to getting eliminated. And, he lasted about a good 15, 20 minutes in the Royal Rumble, but nowhere near what he did in 1992. And then he was soon out of the WWF in a loser leaves town match with Mr. Perfect on Monday Night Raw. So, that was that, man. That's my number 3 greatest Royal Rumble endings of all time. Let me know what you guys think about that down below. And what if? Let me know what you guys would have done if Ric Flair didn't win the Royal Rumble. Who would you wanted to go on to WrestleMania as the WWF champion in 1992? Let me know down below, guys. Next week, we'll do number 2. Getting down to the nitty-gritty, man. I guarantee you guys won't know what number 2 is. Pretty sure most of you know what number 1 is. It's no secret to anybody. And I'm sure it's a lot of number 1s on everybody's list. But my number 2 is going to surprise you, man. I think it's going to surprise you. It's not a surprise to me because it's truly one of the greatest endings to a Rumble event ever. So some of you might get it, some of you might not. But we'll talk about it next week, man. Long episode. I'm extremely exhausted. Don't know when this is going up, but hopefully at some point tonight at a decent hour. Thank you guys so very much for everything, man. Please follow me on social media at JD from NY206. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. We got Resident Evil 2 one-shot demo coming in the afternoon, and then Monday Night Raw tomorrow night, guys. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to y'all later.